Gio.
BT and Sal.
Kevin and Tiki. Keith McPherson, your nighttime host on The Fan.
On The Fan.
On The Fan.
On The Fan.
It's WFAN Daily, hosted by Pete Hoffman.
It is another episode of WFAN Daily with Pete Hoffman. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, you can go subscribe, like, all that stuff on the Odyssey app, WFAN Daily. Go follow me at HoffWFAN. Two major headlines. Obviously, we'll start with the positive news from last night, late this morning, early this morning, however you want to look at it. The New York Mets beat the LA Dodgers in 10 innings as Paul Blackburn goes 5 innings in his first game of the season. He shuts down Shohei Ohtani, 0 for 3 against Blackburn. However, 2-0 in the 7th inning, and Shohei Ohtani sends a ball to the moon, and I don't know if it's landed at all, and that cuts the lead down 2-1. And then in the 9th inning, a sac fly from Shohei sends this thing to overtime, to extra innings. And we have ourselves a tight game, which ends 4-3, and the Mets on top. Edwin Diaz suffers his first blown save of the season. Then you got Jose Buto, who comes in and shuts it down after Jose Castillo, basically puts them in a bad situation. A 1-run deficit in the 10th, and you feel like any hit is about to just blow this game up, and the Mets are going to suffer a miserable loss. But overall, a good performance by the pitching, again, constantly shutting down this Dodger team, which, by the way, scored a ton of runs this weekend versus the Yankees. We just saw it. They scored 18 runs on Saturday. We know that at any point in time, this Dodgers offense can just go off. So the fact that Paul Blackburn, 5 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 innings, solid. First game back for Paul Blackburn. Francisco Lindor does what he does best. He leads off the game with a solo home run. He continues to do that. Now he's got 14 home runs on the season. And, this guy continues to step up and be the tone setter for this Mets team. Then you have later in a game, I forgot, I'm blanking on how they scored the other one, but, 2-run lead versus the Dodgers, 2-0. It's not a big lead. Dustin May didn't start very well in this game. You felt you could break him open early. Instead, he goes 6 solid innings, gets a quality start, doesn't get a decision because they end up tying it later on. But you felt like you had Dustin May on the ropes early on, and the Mets just never could break through. Vientos came in as a pinch hitter, took a shot. I thought almost had a home run when he pinch hit. Instead, just a fly ball. Later on, grounds out in the 9th inning, and he walks away injured, which is not really what you want. I'm not sure if he's injured. He walked away all by himself, but he was holding his hamstring, which we'll get to a hamstring injury a little bit later on in this podcast as well. So it's just not a perfect day for the Mets, but overall, you win. Now you have this series versus the Dodgers. 7 games in the season, you play the Dodgers. The Mets are now up 3-1 in this season series. So all they need to do is win one more. They get the tiebreaker, and that's fantastic. You want to continue to win series, continue to have edges over every single team, because in the end, even though I don't think it matters, you do want to try to have the home field advantage. You do. So if you can get any edge, here's one for the Mets. And they continue to rack up wins. They've won 3 straight versus Colorado. Now they go in LA to a 4-game series and win the first one over there. I know it wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty. But all that matters is the victory. Now, as far as the other team, there was some late news that came in for Luke Weaver of the New York Yankees, and it looks like sometime today he's going on the IL and is going to get shut down for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring. That is backbreaking news for a lot of Yankee fans because they think that Luke Weaver is the be-all, end-all to this 9th inning with the New York Yankees. However, you got a guy named Devin Williams who I know hasn't had the best start to his season, the start to his Yankee career. I know it wasn't perfect, but the guy is still one of the best in baseball and has found his way as of recent. If you want to go through his pitching lines, if you want to go through his stats, let's do it. Because realistically, if you go through his game logs, yeah, he had a really rough April. No one's going to deny it. There was 4 games where he just got torn up. He played the game versus Detroit where he gave up 3 runs, torn up. He played the game versus the Tampa Bay Rays, blown up 4 runs. Again, a Toronto Blue Jay game, 3 runs. There was a bunch of games where he gave up chunk runs. But, and here's a huge but, since, if you go back to even April 25th, since April 25th, let's go through his stats here because you're going to be amazed. You're going to say, no, he's not. He's really not that good. Here we go. Maybe not April 25th. Let's see. Where was that? Okay. Yeah, April 5th, 25th isn't going to help as much as I thought because let me get rid of that one game. Here we go. Oh, yeah, no, I put the wrong game in there. I don't want that one. I'm trying to do baseball reference on the fly. That's not good. Much better. Okay, since April 28th, there we go. The April 25th was another blowout. Since April 28th, listen to these numbers by Devin Williams. His ERA, much better, much more respectable. 13 and 2/3 innings, okay? 1 save, 7 holds. 7 holds, okay? 13 and 2/3 innings. His ERA went to 3.29. His strikeouts, 20 strikeouts and 13.2 innings. He did give up 5 earned runs, but in 2 games, he gave up those 5 runs. Everything else was zeros. He had 5 walks. Okay, yeah, got a little bit more control. But let's see what his whip is. I don't think when they on Best Baseball Reference, they give the whip for some reason. For some stupid-ass reason. Yeah, they're not giving the whip on that one. But whatever, it's fine. Point is, his numbers are much more respectable. Still not even fantastic because there was those 2 games that he did get blown up in. But the point is, you can rely on Devin Williams. So this Luke Weaver news is not good, is not exciting. You don't want to hear that because that was the one piece of this roster that the Yankees felt comfortable with. You could always go to Luke Weaver. He was that guy that didn't make a difference. He'd come in and he'd do his job. But now it's going to be on Devin Williams' shoulders. And I think he can do the job. I think that he'll be ready to go and give you his best stuff going forward. Now, he's got to show it. Otherwise, the Yankee fans are gonna lose their crap. But I think he can do it. He's proving that he's back to his normal self. And again, the April, it is the worst April he's ever had. No one's going to deny that. But now you're in a situation where he's going to step up. He's going to be his best self. And he's already proving it right now. So you're in good hands with Devin Williams. So it's not like you're losing a great closer and don't have anything to replace it with. You're losing a great closer and filling it in with potentially the best closer in baseball in Devin Williams. So I always knew he was going to get the job back at some point in time. I don't think this wasn't the way you want it to be. So it does suck. Luke Weaver being out maybe 4 to 6 weeks. We'll find out more some point in time today because he hasn't even been officially put on the IL. It's expected, but it's a hamstring, and they say it's some timetable could be between 4 to 6 weeks. So we'll find out more. And it's again, injuries happen, but they've been able to survive. They've been able to survive the Garrett Cole injuries. They've been able to survive. They will survive this Luke Weaver injury. They've been able to survive the Luis Heel stuff too. I mean, the Yankees continue to impress with the numbers. Maybe, again, it's because they're in a lighter division, in a lighter league, in the American League, that's just not as strong as the National League. But it doesn't make a difference. All you got to do is win. Nobody cares. Nobody looks at the schedule and go, how many wins did you get versus Chicago? How many wins did you get versus the Angels? Nobody cares. At the end of the day, you make the playoffs and you go as far as you can. And if you go to the World Series and face the Dodgers again, that's all that matters. Nobody's going to care how you got those regular season wins to get to the playoffs. It's just not. It's not going to make a difference. So To sum it up, Mets, good game. Didn't need to take it to the extra innings, but whatever. You still got the victory. 4-3 in 10. Diaz gets the win. Jose Buto with the save, but Paul Blackburn, first time returning, 5 innings, solid performance. Lindor, the home run. Fantastic news. Vientos potentially injured, so we'll find out more from that. And Luke Weaver injury out potentially 4 to 6 weeks. We'll find out more later on today. But listen, it's a late night, early morning for me as we just wrapped up the Mets game. Did another Rico. If you want to check out that, find that on Odyssey app as well. But I wanted to get this out there as soon as possible because still fresh in my head. Just watched all this stuff, saw the Luke Weaver situation, wanted to talk about it. So happy I got to it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for downloading, subscribing. At Hoff WFAN on all social media. And I will be back tomorrow with more. I will have later on tonight, Tuesday night, I will have a special guest from the UFC. UFC 316 is going to be at Newark this Saturday. So I'm going to be able to talk to one of the fighters. Joe Pfeiffer is going to be on that card, and I'm going to be able to get him on the show. So get ready for that interview that's going to be on later on sometime after 7 o'clock or around 7 o'clock. But till then, we have a lot to talk about on the air today with Boomer and Gio, with Sal and BT, with Evan and Tiki, Keith McPherson, Chris McMonagle, all the greats on WFAN, so go check it out. But thank you again for tuning in here to WFAN Daily with Pete Hoffman. See you guys later. Peace.